We have breaking news tonight in the killing of Michael Brown. St. Louis County prosecutors told NBC News today that the Ferguson Police Department has no incident report of the shooting of Michael Brown. Darren Wilson, the officer who shot and killed Michael Brown, did not write an incident report, contrary to standard police procedure. Ferguson Police Chief Tom Jackson seems to, in effect, say that last week when he released another incident report involving the theft of cigarillos from a convenience store and the convenience store video of Michael Brown apparently stealing those cigarillos. Listen to what Chief Jackson said that day when he released those reports.
We've pretty much given you every bit of information that we have now. I don't think there's anything else that we have to give out.
Just before Chief Jackson's press conference, I tweeted this on Friday. Educated guess. Possible reason they didn't release shooter's incident report. He didn't write one on advice of his lawyer. And then when I heard him say, we pretty much gave every bit of information we have, I tweeted this. Chief seems to make it very clear that shooter did not write an incident report. Fifth Amendment. Yesterday, in response to a lawsuit from the ACLU, the St. Louis County Police released an incident report that says, in effect, nothing other than the time and approximate location of a homicide and the victim's name, Michael Brown. That incident report indicates that it was not filed until possibly 10 days after the killing of Michael Brown. Joining me now is Lisa Bloom, an NBC legal analyst, Liz Brown, a criminal defense attorney and a columnist for the St. Louis American newspaper, and Jim Kavanaugh, an MSNBC law enforcement analyst and retired ATF special agent. Liz Brown, to you, what is your reaction to what we now know to be the fact that the shooter in this case did not write an incident report?
I think it's consistent with everything that we've experienced with this police department. I think it's consistent with the concerns that have been articulated by all of the people that have been marching and protesting and crying out for justice. This is a police department that is out of control. This is a police department that doesn't have respect for the law, and it's a police department that is very comfortable with not telling the truth about what happened. It's hugely problematic. I mean, it's almost like something that would have been written for a sitcom because it's just that unbelievable.
Lisa Bloom, in the decades that I've been studying these cases, most of them involve police incident reports written by the officers involved with the shooting. In recent years, it has become customary in some jurisdictions for the police lawyer to run in, police union lawyer usually, and prevent the shooter from giving any kind of comment or writing any sort of incident report whatsoever.
Well, that's a very aggressive move by the defense attorney, and I can understand that. But we, the people, the citizens who, with our tax dollars, are paying this police officer, are entitled to an account of what happened. And if he refuses to follow standard operating procedure in preparing a report about the taking of a human life, he should be fired. He is now on administrative leave with full pay. At a minimum, this revelation should result in the loss of his job.
Jim Kavanaugh, your reaction?
Well, if this is justice, Lawrence, I'll take something else. You got a no incident report. To make a move here to determine probable cause, I know the federal attorneys, I know they'll want to go to the grand jury, the federal grand jury, but something's got to happen.
Well, so far, the police procedure, the local police procedure, is textbook for a bad shooting that the police don't want to admit. I think we can put this incident report up on the screen. I'm not sure we have it prepared graphically to do it, but I'll hold it up. You can see there's not a written sentence on this incident report. St. Louis County Police incident report. That's how long it is. There's one little piece that flips over to the next page. There you see it. And the next page just has Michael Brown's name on it, identifies the situation as a homicide, which it is, which a lot of people in the audience think means murder. It doesn't. It simply means a person died at the hands of another person. Could be completely legal and legitimate. The only date on it other than the date that the incident occurred, is actually August 19th, this Tuesday, this just 2 days ago. And it may be that this report was not even composed, was not even entered in their records until 2 days ago. And we got this report as a result of the ACLU pressing for it, Liz Brown. So there is the possibility that this piece of nothing was actually just created this week.
Absolutely. And after the press conference and after the request for it, you know, I think that we can almost look at this document as a confession. That's a confession by the police department that we did wrong and that we did something that we cannot defend and we did something that we cannot explain. I think that's really the only way to look at this document. It's a created document for the sole purpose of responding to a request from the ACLU. And in the document, it says nothing about what happened. They don't want to say because they don't want to admit it.
And I just want to go to the time entered. It says the time it was, the date and time it was entered was August 19th at 9:46 a.m. And then it got a supervisor review later that same day, Tuesday, and then it got a final approval on Wednesday, just yesterday. Now, look, that one of the possibilities is that simply may be some bureaucratic information about how this particular piece of paper was revealed to the ACLU, and it might simply be a log of tracking the paper's movement through their system. That's the best reading of it from the most positive reading you could give it for the St. Louis County Police. But
if it was signed off by a supervisor, and if it was accepted by the chief of police, then this raises another question. Darren Wilson is still employed by the police department. This should have never been an acceptable police report to file. So if the chief accepted it, if the supervisor accepted it, they should lose their jobs as well, because this is a completely unacceptable report.
And can we talk about this huge strategic advantage this gives Darren Wilson?
Oh, yes. This is what I want to get to legally. This is, if Darren Wilson's lawyer could have managed the entire investigative response to this case so far, everything that we know he would have wanted done has been done, and everything that we know he would not want done has not been done.
That's right, because without giving any kind of a public statement, and we still don't have one from Officer Wilson or even an attorney representing him, we've been piecing together for the last week and a half these drips and drabs from hearsay witnesses, right? We really don't even know what his story is. That gives him a huge advantage. He can listen to all of the witnesses who have come forward. He can look at the autopsy results. He can look at whatever documentary evidence there is behind the scenes, and then he can create a story that conforms to all of that evidence. There is no bigger advantage in a court of law than that advantage.
And don't forget that when he walks into the grand jury will rule on information that is hearsay information, information that could never pass muster in a courtroom. So he has not only the advantages that were just articulated, but he has the advantage of bringing anything that he wants to into the grand jury.
There's another issue that's been getting banged around in the media lately, and that is the issue of the injury sustained by this police officer. It was reported in the Washington Post that there was a fracture of some kind near the eye of the officer. CNN is reporting that that's absolutely untrue. There was no fracture. And Jim Kavanaugh, it'd be very easy for the police department to reveal precisely what the medical findings were when he went to the hospital.
Exactly right, Lawrence. You know, when there's an old police saying, if there's trouble getting the information, there's usually trouble with the information.
Yep.
And there'd be no reason not to tell us what the officer's injuries were. And by the way, I think the officer did suffer some injury, bruise to the right of his face, whether Michael Brown punched him, whether his head slammed on the rail during the altercation, or whether his firearm kicked back in the close quarters of the police vehicle and banged his face. So I'm not seeing that as a big dispute. I'd say he probably has some injury to his face. Doesn't justify shooting him when he's running away or shooting at him and in the shots later. It's completely a different issue. So police, you got to expect to be punched in the face. You can punch back, but you can't shoot back. not in a situation that's not, life-threatening. So, yes, all this information, where is it? It's disappeared somewhere. Where is it? In the arch? I don't see it. I think that we need the Department of Justice to make some decisions for the country, for the county, for the people. Make the decision. This is about leaders making decisions. They did it for us in the civil rights era. All the heroes of that era made the decisions. We're at the time now. If the county prosecutor wants to make it, he should make it. But the county prosecutor's office is full of great prosecutors who decide probable cause every day. Cops decide probable cause every day. Every arrest is decided on probable cause. Every warrant, every search warrant. We all decide probable cause. It's not that hard to do. We live it. It can be decided, and then a decision needs to be made.
Liz Brown, you're the closest watcher of Ferguson and St. Louis police here among us, and I personally have never seen one of these cases in which the police didn't release and make public every bit of information that was helpful to them as soon as possible. Is that generally the way things have worked in St. Louis?
That's generally the way that it works, because particularly a case that's being tried in the public arena, the police have every option, every opportunity, and nearly every resource to decide which direction the story is going to take. In this case, I've never seen anything like it before. And what I've also never seen, and I think that we talked about this before, is the fact that this potential defendant is being invited to walk into the grand jury and present his case. No prosecutor who is seeking an indictment invites the defendant in to argue his case. And there's also one more thing that I don't know that we have an answer to. It could very well be that Darren Wilson has testified before this grand jury before on another case. So we have the potential that a grand jury who has found him credible to issue a warrant on is now going to be asked to look at this man and see if they want to issue an indictment for murder on this man. That's a problem. It's a huge problem.
It's a very strange case from start to finish. Lisa Bloom, Liz Brown, and Jim Calvin, I thank you all very much for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Lawrence.